Hello, my name is Abby with Tuxedo Bird Creations. Thank you for joining me today and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to do the Trinity stitch. Before we begin, if you like my tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified of new patterns and stitch tutorials on my website, feel free to subscribe to my newsletter at tuxedobirdcreations.com, where you can find links to all of my patterns, as well as my stitch library that is growing weekly, and a new stitch added every Tuesday on Stitch Tutorial Tuesday. So today we're going to talk about the Trinity stitch, and it's a beautiful stitch that kind of looks a little starry. It has like a little star quality to it. It's a nice thick stitch, not a lot of holes, not a lacy stitch at all. So it definitely has some integrity to it. It's a nice even stitch as well, and it's pretty repetitive, so it's a fairly easy stitch to learn. I created these wallets with this stitch, which came out very nice, and you can see that the pockets are pretty stiff as well, and that makes for a great wallet so it's not all floppy, and the stitch definitely helped. I also made a matching wristlet with the stitch as well. And this, if you like these wallets, you can find the pattern on my website at tuxedobirdcreations.com. Today I'm just using some cotton yarn and a size 4 hook, which is what the yarn calls for. You can use any yarn and any hook for this stitch. It's, you know, whatever the label on the yarn says to use is, you know, basically what you would use for this stitch. So to begin, what we do is we will make a slip stitch any way that you want to do that. And to start our chain row, we are going to chain in multiples of 2. So you can make this as large or small as you would like, as long as you have multiples of 2. So for this demonstration, I'm going to chain 16. And you can do any number that will fit your project. So go ahead and pause the video, chain as many as you'd like in multiples of 2, and I will meet you back at the end. Okay, so now we have our chain of 16 for this tutorial, or as many as you would like. And what we're going to do is we're going to start in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to crochet into that chain. So the loop on the hook does not count as a chain. So this is chain 1, and this is the second chain from the hook. So we're going to be single crocheting into that chain to begin. And then from here, we're going to be joining 3 chains into 1 stitch. So to do that, we're going to insert our hook into the same chain that we just single crocheted, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And then into the next chain, you're going to do the same thing, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops on your hook. And then into the next chain, you can go ahead and do the same thing, pull up a loop, and you should have 4 loops on your hook. Now from here, you just yarn over, and you're going to pull through all 4 loops. Now to secure the Trinity stitch we have here, we're going to chain 1. And we don't want to make this chain 1 too tight because you are going to be using it as a stitch in the next row. So we just want to make sure that it's just a little loose, otherwise it will be challenging to get your hook through that stitch in the next row. So to move on to the second Trinity stitch, what we're going to do is we're going to insert into the last chain here that we used for this Trinity stitch. So we're going to insert into this one that we just used, pull up a hook, or I'm sorry, pull up a loop, insert into the next chain and pull up a loop, and then insert into the next chain and pull up a loop. So you have 4 loops on your hook. And then from here, you're just going to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And then again, you're going to chain 1. So I'll show you that one more time. So we're going to go into the last chain that we used for the last Trinity stitch, pull up a loop. So there's 2 loops on your hook, go into the next chain, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, 4 loops on your hook, into the next chain, pull through all 4 loops, and chain 1. So go ahead and continue down to the end of the row, stopping at the last 2 chains, and I'll meet you back there. You can go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so you see that we have completed our row of Trinity stitches here, and we have the last 2 chains to go. So we're going to make one more Trinity stitch But instead of chaining one after we pull through all 4 loops, we're going to single crochet into the last chain. So insert your hook into that last chain that was used for the last Trinity stitch, pull up a loop, into the next chain, pull up a loop, and into the next chain, pull up a loop, and then all through all 4. So again, for a normal stitch in the middle of the row, we would chain 1 here, but since it's the last stitch in the row, we're going to go back into that chain space and single crochet, and that will end your row. So from here, we can chain 1 and turn our work. And then in this first stitch here, in that space, in that first stitch here, we're going to single crochet. And then we're going to go back into that first stitch space and pull up a loop. And we're going to start our Trinities again. So we pulled up a loop in the first stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook. And in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You will have 4 loops on your hook, pull through, chain 1. So again, we start in the last stitch that we used for the last Trinity, and then in the next stitch we pull up a loop, and then in the next stitch we pull up a loop. So 4 loops on the hook, pull through all 4, chain 1. Go ahead and finish your row and meet me back here when you've reached the end of this row, and I'll show you the transition again. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so we are almost at the end of row 2, and we have our last 2 stitches left. So it's going to be just like the first row. We're going to insert our hook in the last stitch we used for the last Trinity, and then into the last 2 stitches to create those 4 loops that we pull through. And again, because it is the last stitch in the row, we are not going to chain 1. We are just going to single crochet in that last stitch again. And there you have it. So again, you just chain 1 and then you turn your work, and you can start the process all over, just making sure that you're single crocheting in the beginning of each row and then starting your Trinity in that same space. And when you're ending a row, you're single crocheting instead of chaining 1 at the end of that last Trinity. It's a pretty easy stitch. It's a beautiful stitch that can be used for multiple things: dish towels, hot pads, pot holders, wallets, face scrubbies. It's a great stitch. It has wonderful texture. And that's it. It's a fairly simple stitch to learn, and it's very repetitive. Thank you for joining me today for this tutorial. And again, if you like my videos and want to stay updated, subscribe to my channel or subscribe to my newsletter at tuxedobirdcreations.com. Happy crocheting!